After making our way through airport security, we headed over to the Centurion Lounge. So in preparation for our trip, we actually got Amex Platinum cards in hopes to accumulate enough points to use for our travel to and from Southeast Asia. And one of the perks of the card is that you get access to these lounges. So all the food and drinks that you see here were free.
The Centurion Lounge was super nice, but it does get a bit crowded. So about 30 minutes prior to our departure, we made our way to our gate. Alex and I were both in Zone 1 for boarding our plane, so we were able to be some of the first people onto the plane, which was exciting. This was both mine and Alex's first time flying with Qatar, and overall we had a wonderful experience with them. We would definitely use them again in the future. If you ever get a chance to fly with them, don't miss out on the opportunity.
The food itself blew any US airline out of the water, just not even comparable. It was really, really good, but I think Gunnar and I have a personal preference for Turkish Airlines. We finally made it to the Doha airport and were blown away.
One of the first things we saw leaving our gate was this giant multi-story garden. It was honestly unbelievable how many luxury stores they had around the garden and through every single part of the airport.
So we went to go try and find a lounge, but we actually ended up deciding that it was way too crowded, so we didn't end up going in there. But I'm really glad that we made the trek out to another terminal because we were allowed to see so much more of what the airport had to offer. And honestly, when you're walking through the airport, it feels much more like a luxury mall or an art museum in comparison to airport.
We only had a 3-hour layover here, which went by a lot faster than we expected it to. Alex and I decided that we were going to grab a smoothie before heading back to our gate. We got an exotic smoothie. We had no idea what was in it, and it honestly made both of our mouths tingle.
Even had a Fendi bar, which was like this coffee shop, which I didn't even know was a thing. We got one last look at the indoor garden before our 7-hour flight to Singapore. Honestly, on this leg, we really liked the food a lot better. And then we finally made it to the Singapore airport.
Alex and I both had really high expectations for the Singapore airport. We had heard about how crazy it was. When we got there, we were so sad to find that the waterfall vortex was closed for maintenance. So we ended up taking a small train to another terminal. The views on the outside of the airport were gorgeous, but we couldn't both help but feel a little bit disappointed. After making our way to a totally different terminal, we were able to go down into the metro system, and we were able to purchase these 3-day Singapore tourist passes that allow you to use the metro unlimited times in that 3-day span. And we highly recommend, if you visit Singapore, to use these passes.
The public transportation in Singapore is just phenomenal. There's really no reason, unless you're in a time crunch, to use anything like Grab or Uber when you can just take the metro.
Singapore definitely has one of the most efficient metros I've ever been on, and the entire place was spotless. We took a few stops and made our way to Chinatown, where our hostel was located. We ended up having to walk about 2 blocks from the metro station to make it to our hostel, and we were not disappointed with the views. Our hostel was super nice. They got us ice green tea for check-in, and Alex ended up getting a egg salad truffle croissant, which tasted a whole lot better than it sounded. Alex and I were both able to get cleaned up and get our beds and rooms situated just like we liked. They had lockers on the top bunk, so we were able to put our backpacks and the rest of our stuff right next to where we were sleeping, so we had peace of mind that nothing was going to go anywhere. The bed spaces we slept in were small cubicles, but they were super comfy. After getting everything settled, Alex and I went to explore Chinatown. We ended up stopping at a restaurant to get some Thai food. It was one of the only places in the area that had good vegetarian options. We loved the food and were completely worn out after the meal. We decided to head back to the hostel to get ready for bed, plus the weather wasn't looking too great. Thank you guys for watching and follow along to see the rest of Singapore in our next video.